for tuning in to NHK Newsline and your Gaswara. Tropical storm Shanshan is lurching its way northeast over western Japan. Record-breaking rainfall is spanning the country. Weather officials warn it could last into the weekend. As of Friday night, Shanshan was over Aikine Prefecture in the Shikoku region, traveling at 20 kilometers per hour. The storm is impacting wide areas. Further east, a record high of over 400 millimeters of rain in 48 hours was recorded in parts of Shizuoka and Kanagawa prefectures. These images were taken in Yugawara town in Kanagawa, showing the aftermath of a landslide on a road and nearby fallen trees. It's quite unusual for a typhoon to affect areas at such a distance. People everywhere should view this storm a little differently and remain on high alert. Mudslide alerts are in effect for several prefectures. Officials say eastern and western Japan will see heavy rainfall into Saturday. They're warning people to protect against mudslides, overflowing rivers, and violent winds. Shanshan is blamed for at least 6 deaths and more than 120 injured people around the country. 3 people were killed when rain from the storm sent an avalanche of mud into a home in Aichi Prefecture. Rescuers managed to pull 2 survivors from the rubble. A man in his 80s was also killed in Tokushima Prefecture when the roof of his house collapsed on top of him. A man in his 80s in the town of Kikujo, Koga Prefecture, went missing after he went to check on a swollen river. He was later found dead downstream. The storm is also causing dangerous conditions on some roads. A landslide blocked off the entrance to a tunnel linking the cities of Isehara and Hadano in Kanagawa. No one was injured, but heavy equipment had to be brought in to tow away vehicles. Images show an apartment complex in Hadano. The parking lot is partially filled with sediment from an adjacent property. Cars appear to be damaged. Travel across Japan continues to be hampered by the storm, including on some of Japan's busiest rail lines. The Tokaido Shinkansen between Tokyo and Nagoya remains suspended throughout Friday, so the bullet train between Nagoya and Osaka has resumed. Further west, Shinkansen lines linking major cities, including Hiroshima and Fukuoka, suspended services throughout Friday and will resume on Saturday. But the operator plans to run some Shinkansen lines with reduced frequency. Major air carriers, including All Nippon Airways and Japan Airlines, canceled hundreds of flights throughout Friday. Dozens of flights will be canceled on Saturday as well. For more on the impact of the storm, we turn to our meteorologist, Yumi Hirano.
Yes, the system has brought record-breaking rainfall not only to Kyushu, but also Tokai and Kanto on Friday. Even though the center of the system may be in western Japan, it has enough power to pump ample moisture to central Japan and create heavy rainfall, especially along the Pacific coast. The storm is expected to slow its speed and stay over western to central Japan for a long time over the weekend. So the amount of total rainfall will be much higher. Up to 300 millimeters is possible in Tokai, Kyushu, and Shikoku by Saturday. On top of that, additionally, up to 400 millimeters is expected in Tokai by Sunday and more on Monday. It could lead to higher risks of landslide and flooding. If you live in a sloped area or near rivers, please be ready to evacuate early.
As Shanshan continues to wreak havoc in Japan, another powerful storm is hitting India. High winds and heavy rain battered India's western state of Gujarat this week, causing floods and forcing thousands of people from their homes. Local media say at least 28 people have died. The rains have been caused by a tropical system off the coast of Gujarat, and weather officials predict the system will intensify. Authorities say more than 18,000 people have been evacuated from cities near the coast since Sunday.
mother suffers from asthma and is on oxygen support. There's been no electricity for the last 2 days, and she is unable to use her nebulizer.
The apartments on the ground floor of our building are completely wrecked. Some people also need medical treatment, but we're unable to call an ambulance. What are we supposed to do?
Rescue operations are underway, including the distribution of bottled water and food to those stranded by rising waters. But the efforts are hampered by the sheer scale of the flooding. Gujarat State has been repeatedly hit by extreme heat and flooding this year, with global warming likely a contributing factor. Temperatures in some areas exceeded 45 degrees Celsius during summer heat waves. The Philippines and Vietnam have signed an agreement to strengthen maritime defense cooperation. Both countries have territorial disputes with China in the South China Sea. Philippine Defense Secretary Gilberto Teodoro held talks on Friday with his Vietnamese counterpart Pham Bong Jong, who is visiting Manila. The two signed a document to strengthen cooperation in the field of humanitarian aid at sea and disaster relief. In the South China Sea earlier this week, a Philippine vessel became the latest to be blocked by Chinese Coast Guard ships with water cannons. Analysts believe the Philippines is aiming to keep China in check by deepening security cooperation with Vietnam. Earlier this month, the two countries held their first joint Coast Guard exercise in Manila Bay, which faces the South China Sea.